Awesome. Well, I am so excited to get to be here tonight to share why we believe as an instructional technology department, why one-to-one devices in the hands of students is such a powerful experience, and kind of take some time to go behind the scenes and show you what's happening in classrooms with these devices, and give you a sneak peek of the awesome things happening with your kiddos, and with the teachers who are taking care of those kids day in and day out. So I am so lucky to have my teammate, Brittany Horn, co-facilitating this session with us tonight. Man, she's an awesome teammate and has been a part of our team for 7 years and is such a wealth of knowledge. She has served secondary campuses and middle school campuses, and is currently specializing on elementary campuses. So she just really has seen what technology looks like in the hands of some of our very youngest learners, and what technology looks like in the hands of our kiddos who are ready to step out in the world. So Brittany, thank you so much for saying yes to co-presenting with me, and really being here to just kind of share some of the testimonials of what's happening in the classrooms with kids, and what's happening on the devices.
Yeah, we are so glad that y'all joined us. I mean, it is a treat to be leading with Jillian. Jillian is our coordinator of instructional technology. She spent 5 years teaching first grade, which I know is her passion, but man, Jill is just a wealth of knowledge. She's a continual learner, and you quickly learn she is a compassionate educator. Like, she's just passionate about education, and so that really shines through in her role now, especially. So thank you for joining us. We're just so pumped to share some of these things.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get started by sharing my screen as we move through this presentation. Like Miss Elliott mentioned, if you have any questions, feel free to add those questions into the chat while I'm presenting. Brittany will be moderating that chat for us, and then when you have the opportunity to hear from her, then I will make sure that I keep an eye on the chat as well. Before we get started, we just wanted to take some time to thank parents for all of the things that they have done this year. It's been a challenging year for many of us in our personal lives, as well as the world of education. And so just taking some time to share the awesome things that you have done for our families and for our schools is such a treat. We came across this video as we were looking for resources and planning this presentation, so I hope that you really enjoy it.
Mom, oh my God, I'm hungry.
I had so much time to spend with my boys.
Watch it.
How is it?
What?
Oh, hey, you okay? You did touch the food.
Okay, they take attendance.
Yeah.
Thank you, Claire. Okay.
She's Mary Jane Pedersen.
She was the first Black female college graduate.
I know that some of you really may connect with that how to teach Google search last spring, and maybe continuing into this school year. Brittany and I have both chosen, as very young mamas, we've both chosen to present our sessions, this session, outside of our homes. So really, we just wanted to make sure that we kicked this presentation off with just thanking you, because we know it's been a challenging year, and we're just so grateful for all the work that you've done as parents and families in our district.
Mom?
Oh my God.
As we move through this presentation, I just wanted to give you a brief overview of kind of what you would experience. We're going to reflect on the journey that we've been on with one-to-one devices here in NISD. Brittany's going to provide you that behind the scenes look, the behind the curtain sneak peek on how devices are being used to empower your students in the classrooms every day. And then we'll just wrap up with some tips for using devices at home to ensure success, and then take your questions and hopefully answer those for you or find a way to get those answers back to you. As we begin the presentation, we really felt like it was important for us to share Northwest ISD's profile of a graduate. This is really serves as a guide for us here in NISD to ensure that our students, when they leave, that they are ready for college if that is the path that they choose, that they are prepared to enter that global workplace, should that be after college or immediately after they leave high school, and most importantly, that they're just prepared for personal success. Here in Northwest ISD, oftentimes we say that we really want to make sure that our kids are future ready, and this document really anchors so many decisions that we make as an instructional technology team to ensure that our goals and our vision for devices in the hands of students is really just elevating where our students are headed once they leave our district. The crazy thing about the story of one-to-one devices in NISD is sometimes when we talk about it with our executive director, Kara Carter, she definitely does the best job telling our story of our journey with devices here in NISD. And when she says, we've been on this journey for 12 years, it really just blows our mind when we step back and reflect and think about how far we've come from when we first started this journey in 2009 to where we are today, with devices being leveraged to create really dynamic learning experiences and some really great opportunities for kids. As we reflect on this journey, we really just can't help but be extremely thankful for the stakeholders and district leaders and community members who have seen the value of devices in the hands of kids and really invested energy in helping move this vision of one-to-one devices forward in our district. Northwest ISD is known to be a very innovative district, and we're known for that locally and statewide for the work that we do with teachers and in preparing them to integrate devices in their classrooms, down to celebrating what teachers actually do with devices in the hands of kids. And it's something that we're very proud of as a district, and something we're very proud of as an instructional technology team. As we look at this journey, Kara will tell you that one of the most pivotal moments for one-to-one devices wasn't just placing the devices in the hands of kids. That is when we really started to integrate Google Apps and really started to see how teaching and learning became a lot more about just having a device in a kid's hand to really leveraging that device to create some really powerful learning experiences where students have the opportunity to be creators and collaborators and independent thinkers. That's when you can really see her heart light up when she shares that 2014 was the year when devices in the hands of kids really transformed. When I look at this timeline, the spring of 2017 is the year that it tugs at my heart. I was a third grade teacher in a classroom at Beck Elementary, and I remember how excited I was to get those devices in my classroom. I could not wait to try out new things with kids and just see engagement rise and opportunities rise for those kiddos. And there was no turning back after that. I was hungry to be a part of the instructional technology team and just continue to champion the success of these devices in our classrooms. So it's been a fun journey that we've been on, but most of all, it's just been a journey that we're super thankful that we've just had people investing in with us along the way. When we start to think about why as a district we feel like devices are so empowering and successful in the hands of students and in those classrooms, we can't help but think about the iceberg analogy. This is, something where what you might see as a parent on the surface is the notification that you get from your sweet kindergarten babe on Seesaw, celebrating something they've learned or sharing with you the sight words that they've mastered, or maybe it's you working alongside your senior in high school to refine their e-portfolio and work with them to add that to college applications, or job applications that really just showcases and highlights the strengths and talents of your child. And so as a parent, you get to see the awesome things that happen as a result of these devices, but you just, as a member of the technology department, I can't help but step back and take a minute to acknowledge and thank the people who are below the surface and kind of behind the scenes who are playing a really, really important role in the success of these devices in classrooms, just making sure that the devices are reliable, that they're safe and easy to use for our kids. We have a team of engineers in our department who focus on making sure that our network is accessible, and just ensuring that the practices and protocols that we're following with devices in our district are really just protecting our students and our systems. We have a group of engineers who focus solely on our network, cybersecurity, and the applications. Oftentimes the applications guys are the people who make the NISD portal work, and some of you may have seen the portal in your home where kids are accessing Moodle and Seesaw and Google Classroom and Imagine Math and all of those awesome things. And so that entire team just really makes these processes possible. We also have a great data services team who works closely to ensure that student information is protected. And then our help desk technicians who you call when you're in a panic, or the technicians on campus who are quick to troubleshoot, quick to find solutions, and are just really ensuring the devices are functional day in and day out for our teachers and students. And so all of these teams play a really important role behind the scenes, below the surface, in ensuring the success of devices in classrooms. As Brittany and I were looking for resources for this presentation, I came across this quote and I felt like it really just connected with the mission and vision of the instructional technology team. We recognize that there is value of devices and technology in classrooms, and that they can just really be capitalized on to enhance teaching and learning experiences. And so we just know that there's a powerful place in classrooms to really just make great things happen in education. This is maybe one of my absolute favorite slides in this presentation, besides the one with kids. I love this slide, one, because it shares our team mission and our core beliefs, and that is something that is a driving force behind the work that we do every single day, in the days that it gets hard, and in the days where we're excited. That is our why, and I love making sure that we get to share that with others, our stakeholders, our community, and our leaders. And then that picture in the bottom right corner, that is my instructional technology team that I have the honor of getting to be a part of. The team of instructional technologists they are the team of educators who are on campuses every day with teachers and administrators and kids, and they're the ones who are really helping these devices in classrooms be used with intentionality and purpose. And they're just there building up, lifting up, and supporting campuses and teachers so that great things can happen. The producer versus consumer graphic that you see on the left side of the screen is something that our team shares often in presentations. Sometimes they're, you know, when people think of devices in classrooms, they can think that that a student is just placed on a device and they're just consuming the content on devices, when in reality, what you're about to get to see is that students aren't just simply consuming devices, that they're not just playing games or engaged in repetitive practice or scrolling through content, that they're really engaged in some meaningful activities and experiences with their teachers and their classmates, where they're having opportunities to collaborate and be creators and just really open up a world of possibilities for what's happening inside their classrooms. All right, so you guys are in for a treat. I'm going to stop sharing and hand this presentation over to Brittany. She's the one who's really going to get to share the good stuff and show you some pictures and kind of explain what you're seeing behind the scenes here.
All right. So in NISD, we believe your students are capable. They are responsible citizens. Oops, let me go back a slide real quick and get us all set up. This is where we want to be. Okay, so in NISD, we believe your students are capable. They're responsible citizens. They are communicators, creators, critical thinkers, and collaborators. So we're excited in the next few slides to zoom in on each one of these traits, and then also give you a glimpse into our classrooms, like Jill said, so you can see what's going on in the day-to-day. So first, we want to just start by saying in NISD, your student is capable, and that's despite their background or their circumstance. So all of our student Chromebooks come with built-in accessibility features, and then they also have access to programs and tools and apps that allow us to meet the needs of all learners in a way that we wouldn't be able to do without devices. So some of these features include enlarged font, dictation, text-to-speech, words to be translated, dyslexic font, and then immersive readers. So we are excited to share this presentation link with you at the end of the presentation, because we've linked some really great resources that you can come back to and use with your child, or just come back to as a reference for later, because really we don't have time to explore all these like we would want to. So we're going to leave them as a reference for you later. One of the resources on this slide is called the Chromebook Simulator. And we like this because it mimics the look of the Chromebook. Maybe if you don't have one and you want to be able to help your child, it's a great resource. So I'm just going to click on this Chromebook Simulator here. One reason that this is nice is it will show you how to turn on those accessibility features. So if you're thinking, man, my child could really use some of these features, but I've never seen them, I don't know how they access them. You can go down here to explore accessibility features, and it will give you a menu, and it will really show you how to walk step by step on turning these on. So you'll see these yellow circles, and it will show step one, you know, click right here where this little battery icon is, and it will walk step by step, go to settings, and I'll scroll down just so that you can see once they go into advanced, it will show you some of the features they have access to, like select to speak is one of the most popular ones, I would say. And it will show you how to enable that feature. So for the students that need it, they enable it, and then when they highlight a piece of text, it will read it aloud to them, which has been a game changer for some of our kids. Another really great resource on this slide is the Chromebook profile, and this is an extensive list of all the apps and extensions that your student has access to on their Chromebook. So I'll click this to open it. We won't get too much in the weeds, but if you want to go back and take a peek, the second little tab down here is apps by accommodation. So as that loads, we'll kind of show, it will tell you the accommodation and then the app or extension that's available, and give you a tutorial on how to use it. So that select to speak that we just looked at, that first tutorial walked you step by step on how to turn it on, and you can see it used. So if you want to see how does this actually work, it will give you a step by step. Okay, so I also want to draw your attention before we move on to the read about it section in the bottom left-hand side. You'll see that light bulb icon. For every single trait that we look at, we're going to include a read about it section. And most of these are going to link to our instructional technology blog. It's called Making It Click. This, however, links to a blog from Google that just explores accessibility features a little bit more. But we do want to point that out because we know some of you guys are going to want to go and read more about this later. So we're going to link that in to all these slides. All right, so a glimpse into our classrooms. You're gonna see on the left-hand side here, we've got a student marking up an article in Pear Deck. And our district is really intentional about the apps and the programs and the websites that our students use. We make sure that they're safe, that they're approved, that they're vetted, that they're versatile. So Pear Deck is one that we purchased that we really just love. This tool, for instance, will allow the students to see on their screen whatever's on the teacher's projector. So that in itself is nice because it's right in front of them. But they can also allow students to interact, like you see the student doing here, highlighting, marking up a passage, they can answer questions, and the teacher can meet their needs kind of in the moment rather than having to wait for them to turn in something and then grade it and then give them feedback. Another really cool feature of Pear Deck, so I linked in, you can click on this fun little pair if you want to, but they have a built-in immersive reader. So if students are working self-paced, they can click that immersive reader and then hear the text read aloud or even see the words highlighted as it's reading to them, so it's really helpful. Next to that image, you'll see some students doing some close reading in a tool called Cami. And then that last picture is one of our second grade remote educators actually speaking to a student whose main language is Portuguese. So without that Google Translate program, this student and teacher would have a big language barrier, but the device allows them to communicate. In fact, I also know students whose second language is English and they use Google Voice Type in order to get their thoughts on a Google Doc for the teacher to read and grade. So the device just offers, you know, endless possibilities for students that otherwise might have a hard time communicating. Okay, how are we doing, Jill?
Great.
Okay, so in NISD, your student is a responsible citizen. So not only do we want students to have a device, but we want them to be responsible with the access that they've been given, and we want them to be able to do that in a really safe environment. So the main vehicle for digital citizenship is our digital citizenship lessons and continual conversations that teachers have with kids throughout the year. In fact, I know Miss Martin's a teacher here and she's probably had several conversations with her kids about digital citizenship. So that's just something that our teachers take on, is kind of coaching them through as they're using devices in a really, really safe place. So our digital citizenship lessons are written for K-12 students, but you'll notice they're different. They're getting the same type of content, but they go deeper and they're very age appropriate. So they're different based on the student's age. I can't wait to give you a glimpse into one of these lessons, but before doing that, I want to point out the flower on the left-hand side of the screen. About 2 years ago, Northwest noticed a need for a social and emotional learning focus. So each one of our digital citizenship lessons is going to connect to an SEL focus, which is really cool. So I'm going to go ahead and click this first picture here. All of our lessons are housed in Moodle. With that said, they are also housed on our digital citizenship website. So you'll notice that here, digitalcitizenship.nisttx.org. It's also going to be on our slide. So I'm going to go back and really cover the website, because as a parent, that's probably going to be the best place for you to go to see all the lessons. They're all public, viewable, and it can kind of help you see what your students are getting in the classroom. So I'm going to scroll down and just preview one. I'll look at module 3 because it's our 3rd to 5th grade students' favorite. This is just kind of an overview lesson plan. The teacher typically opens up some slides and walks step by step through with students. But here in this lesson, they're learning about how to communicate with friends, both online and face-to-face. They talk about, you know, if you're playing an online game, what are the positives and what are the negatives? How do we make sure that games are positive and fun and safe if we're going to play them, right? So very age appropriate. And then students come up with a video game title and talk about the do's and don'ts of playing games online. I love that these lessons also connect to, this is the same as if you're in person. You know, we shouldn't be a different person behind the screen. So I'm going to open up the website so that you can just kind of see as a parent when you want to go back. You'll see the K2 lessons, 3-5, 6-8, and 9-12. This is kind of how they're grouped. We could take a quick peek at maybe a high school lesson, that same module, so you can see maybe the difference in content. So this is high school. We'll go into module 3, still learning ethics of online behavior, but this time they're talking about friendships and boundaries. You know, a lot of them are so connected on social media, just how important it is to have some boundaries and set some limits. And so it's just kind of neat to see the same content aged up as they get older. All right, so from our digital citizenship website, I cannot emphasize enough to check out the Family Connections Hub, because this is our opportunity to partner with you as parents to continue conversations at home with your family. These resources can be used anytime. They don't have to be used right when your students do certain modules. You could pick these up and use them tomorrow if you wanted to. So I'm going to open that up for you, and we'll just look at this first module here. But you'll notice that there's a resource for each module that your students cover. At the top of this resource, you're going to see that social emotional connection that we talked about, and then some table talk like starters. So when you get to sit down and have a meal together, or if you're in the car, it gives you some intentional conversation starters. And you'll see that there's conversation starters for those getting started, maybe your youngest learners, and then continuing might be some of your older, maybe upper elementary, middle school, and then taking it deeper would be for your high school students. So if you have a wide range of ages in your home, you can pull out a few of these different questions and ask. There's also a family challenge and some tips on creating family boundaries. So this one's to do an app share. You know, do you really understand the apps and the websites your kids are using? Like talking about it, going through the settings, seeing how everything's set up. Just practices that, you know, life gets busy and sometimes we don't have the opportunity to do that. And so this resource kind of helps you do those kinds of things. One of the challenges is to have a tech-free night. And that might sound super easy, but gosh, you know, we're really attached to our devices. So it's just good practice to think about those things. All right, so a quick glimpse into our classrooms. On the left, you're gonna see our youngest learners. This is first grade, just learning what it is to be a good digital citizen. They are reminded here, you'll see the student said it's good to set a timer for how long you're on the internet. So they're learning at a young age that it is best practice to set some screen time limits. And as a parent, hopefully you're like, I've been telling my kid that. So to hear that they're going to get it emphasized at school is really helpful. And then, you know, they're learning that you need to be kind online just like you are in person. And then you'll also see a high school lesson on the right-hand side. And they're learning here how to differentiate between what's credible and trustworthy online and what might be fake news. And so that's really important to them too. So same type of content, they just go deeper based on their age group. All right, so we'll go ahead and move on unless there's questions or anything.
No, we're doing great. We've had a few ask if we're going to share these resources in the presentation afterwards, and we reassured them that we are definitely going to do that. And we just have so many resources and opportunities for you guys to check out and explore and check out.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay, so in NISD, your student is also a communicator. Technology provides a platform for your students to communicate. And although there are lots of different platforms that they use and different technology tools they use to communicate, the ePortfolio is really a perfect platform for them to truly share who they are as a learner, as a unique learner, or as a student leader. And they just get to share, you know, the unique parts about their learning experience. And so we're going to zoom in on the ePortfolio just for a few slides. You'll see some quotes over here. A 9th grade student says the benefit of the ePortfolio is it prepares them for the workforce. So we kind of talk about the difference, you know, elementary is just learning how to choose showcase work and reflect on it, where then you start to get into secondary thinking, how could I use this ePortfolio? And then a 5th grade student, you know, talks about, I get to express myself in ways other than talking or giving a speech. So they have this kind of site to go back to and look back on their learning, which is really, really awesome. So in younger elementary, yeah, we kind of talked about students are really learning how to select their best work and then reflect on why that's important. And so it gives them ownership of their own learning because this is their choice. You know, what is it that really impacted you as a learner? As they move to secondary, they'll probably start linking some of those, like, you know, my math work, my English work, start linking that to skills. They start to see, I'm a problem solver, I'm a critical thinker, I'm a writer, and then pull in some of their extracurriculars. So it becomes really powerful, and the ePortfolio can give them a competitive advantage as they get older, whether that's applying for a leadership opportunity, for a job. We know kids who have even gotten jobs at Tanger, right, by using their ePortfolio, and then countless students who have used it to apply for colleges and have been successful. So it's nice to be able to not only get the skills, but give them a leg up once they get out of school as well. So I'm going to just click on our ePortfolio website just so that you can see it. But once again, we're going to give you all of these resources, and I really encourage you to go back and look at it later. But there's a good video on why ePortfolios, why these are important. The Getting Started tab is going to walk them through step by step. If you've got a kid who you're like, depending on the class that they're in or where they're at in their journey, they may just have gotten started. And so if they want to work from home, like they could totally do that. But these are some of the resources we have for them. And one of my favorite is Getting Inspired. It's going to show you student samples. So you can see some samples from elementary, middle school, and high school. It's neat to see how unique every single ePortfolio is and how it grows from elementary to high school. All right, and then I will point out, before talking about these images, I want to point out the Read About It link for this page. We won't open up all of these. This is a really neat blog post about how Hughes Elementary partnered with high schoolers at Steele to share their ePortfolios together and give each other feedback on a program called Flipgrid. So they were giving each other video feedback saying, no, I really like this. And it's neat for elementary kids to see, wow, my ePortfolio could look like this in high school. But it was also neat for high school kids to be like, oh, I wouldn't have ever thought about including this about myself, so they got a totally different lens into what their ePortfolio should look like. So check that out if you get a chance. But then over here to the left are also two videos that would be worth checking out as well. This is one of our fourth graders that decided to submit their ePortfolio for Expo. We're going to talk about Expo here in a little bit, but it's our big showcase event, and they just talk about the ownership and the different things that they're proud of. And then underneath that, we had a junior do the same thing, submit her ePortfolio, and it's really neat to hear them talk about it. So more than I could even share, like watching that video is probably going to give you the best glimpse into the ePortfolio. This picture up here at top, this is a third grade class having what some teachers call stop, drop, and ePortfolio time. It's just a few minutes in their quarter to stop and think about what they're proud of, what they've learned, and upload it to their ePortfolio. I like this picture because it shows how their work can be hard copy too. It doesn't have to be digital. So the Chromebook has a built-in camera, so they can take some of those papers that they might have and they might not be able to take home, and they can actually take a picture and stick it into their ePortfolio and reflect. And that's one reason, the number one reason we use Google Sites for ePortfolios is that it's safe. It's a safe place for our kids to share. But additionally, we love the different pieces of work they get to share. They can share videos, documents, links. Any way they want to communicate their learning, they can do that pretty much in the ePortfolio. And then that picture next to that, our high schoolers, they sometimes go a little bit deeper with the lessons, especially depending on the classes that they're in. So we have a new ePortfolio curriculum this year that some of the teachers have really gravitated to. And this is, I know Katie Berry's on this Zoom call, and she actually helped create the resource here. And it's how to get purposeful feedback, because if you're getting ready to share your ePortfolio with the world, this is a good resource. You need to have other people look at it, make sure it looks good. And so it's just neat to see it go deeper as the kids get older.
This is one of the places in our presentation, I showed you the profile of a graduate, and this is one of the most powerful spots on our presentation where you really see how that document anchored the decision of moving forward and embracing ePortfolios for our students. They're embedded into all aspects of making sure they're college ready, career ready, and that they're just going to have successful practices as they move through life.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. So in NISD, your student's a creator, and I want to point back to that graphic Jillian shared about at the beginning, that producer versus consumer graphic. In NISD, our goal for devices that students are producers. So they're creators, right? Like Jillian said, they're not just scrolling through content, but they're actually creating things. So on the left, you're going to just see icons from some of our approved, safe, vetted, versatile tools. These are some of our favorites. They allow students to share their voice through videos, slides, forums, you name it. There's a lot of different ways students can create. Creating on tools like this also allows students to think about how they want to organize their information in a way they can communicate it so others understand. And so, there's a lot that goes into digital creation besides the end product. It's that thought process that goes into it ahead of time. So our students are creating daily, continually, right? But I think one of the best ways to get a glimpse into their creation is our annual Expo event. We actually just celebrated Expo this March 8th to 12th. This year, our event was virtual. In the past, it's been in person, but we linked to the website because even though our celebration week is over, you can get on at any point to the website expo.nisttx.org, and you can see some of the work that our students have created. So this is really the best way to get a glimpse into our district. And I won't play a bunch of videos, but I just want to point out when you get to the website, at the top, you'll see some compilation celebration videos. A member of our team put these together, and they're just so powerful because you see a bunch of age ranges in these videos. But then I want you to see that every campus is represented, and you'll see every grade level represented as well. So, if you're at one of these campuses, or if you want to check out videos from a feeder pattern, maybe you even have a student who submitted and you may or may not have gotten to see their presentation. So take a look. I'll just click on one of these. You'll be able to scroll down. You'll see a little thumbnail of all of the really proud students and then their names if you want to click and view. And man, I'm looking at our time. I think I'm going to have to speed it up a little bit to make sure we have time for your questions. So I'm just going to quickly show some images of creation, but really that Expo website's the best way to see. Here you'll see a student sharing his voice and music in Seesaw. Next to that, you'll see a second grade student splicing together videos to share his learning about Amelia Earhart. You see a girl using her knowledge of area and perimeter to build a zoo in Seesaw and kind of voice over and explain it. Underneath is a high school student sharing her digital book creations. This is a video on the Expo website just highlighting the innovative technologies our kids are using. And then that last picture is actually from a few years ago. She's not wearing a mask here, but she is sharing a website she created in DIM. So it's just neat to see all the different ways our students create. And the Read About It link here is a third grade class at Sendero Ranch Elementary that created student podcasts and got to share them that way. So that's really cool to check out.
These student-centered, these creative experiences for students is where you really see, the ownership and the pride of students come to life. And it is just something that is so exciting when you're in classrooms and working alongside teachers and students to make those things happen.
So true. Yeah. So we have two more traits to zoom into. You're in NISD, your student is a critical thinker. So we just want to point out that our C&I team and our curriculum writers are very intentional when it comes to the lessons written to our curriculum. The goal is that each student is a critical thinker, that they become an independent thinker, and that they're able to apply their learning to their lives. So before looking at classroom examples, I want to zoom in on that strategic goal number 1 on the core beliefs. It says students will achieve success through meaningful learning experiences, innovative pathways, and personalized opportunities. And our educators will tell you that devices in the classroom help them make some of these dynamic experiences and help them personalize learning for their kids, because sometimes you can't do that in the way that you can with technology. And so it's just really neat to see that play out. So we'll just take a quick peek at some of these curriculum resources and some of the critical thinking opportunities. On the left, you're going to see some robotics pictures. So here at Cox, these students are simulating the Alamo attack with the Dashbot. And so it's really cool. They're critical thinking, but they're also linking it to their learning. If your kids have had the opportunity to use Ozzobots or Dash or EV3, there's just so much critical thinking that goes into those. In fact, we currently have a virtual robotics competition going on in our district, and there are 87 teams currently signed up to meet challenges that were written by a group of high school students. So it's just so neat to see the opportunities they have, maybe even outside the classroom, to be critical thinkers. Inside the classroom, however, and inside our curriculum, I want to show some of the pictures on the right. So that bottom picture of the sticky notes, this was actually just taken a few weeks ago. Students were thinking critically about ethos, pathos, and logos in the book they were reading, and they're able to put that in comments and kind of collaborate together as they think critically. The picture up top is a new resource that was just written into the curriculum this year. It's a 5th grade progressivism DBQ, and the students have to look at problems in the US, and they have to think about, what if I solved one problem, would it solve the others? They get fake money. They get to use $6,000 for one problem, $3,000, and then $1,000. So it's just, they're not just writing, they're having to really critically think before they come up with their essay. If you want to read more about that project, it's actually the what's linked here on the read about it icon. And this was just happened a few weeks ago. So it would be really cool to take a peek at that, especially if you have a 5th grader in the district. And then that last image is in science. They're dissecting owl pellets, and the digital notebook that they're using allows them to think critically and document as they go along. So in one of these pictures, they're filling out, and I know, and it reminds me of tables. So they're not just going through the motions or taking information in from the teacher, but they're actually being the thinkers in the learning. So just really cool. Okay, this is our last one. And so I'm excited to get to the time where you get to ask questions, and we can give you the link to our presentation and let Jillian kind of tie a bow on some of this really neat stuff. So in NISD, your student is also a collaborator, and they could collaborate in a lot of different ways. So you'll see they might collaborate student to student, like in that first picture. They're both thinking together, and they're documenting in technology, and those Google apps that we talked about that were so game changer for our districts, they allow students to collaborate in real time together, which is huge. That middle picture is a middle school group of students who are commenting to each other on some review slides. And so they're kind of collaborating as they're going through this review together. And, you know, I think about when I was in school, a review was the teacher saying something and me writing it down, but this is completely different. And then they might collaborate beyond the classroom. So the read about it link here actually goes along with this picture. It's a mystery Zoom. This is kindergarten at Lakeview. They're Zooming with another kindergarten class at Denton to do a mystery number Zoom. So they're using their hundreds chart, and it's so neat to see our youngest learners kind of interact with others from another district to come up with the mystery number. So as you know, Zoom has really broken down some walls for us this year and opened up possibilities to collaborate with professionals or other classrooms. And then lastly, if you're in here, I'd be curious to know if you have, especially a younger learner, if you've received those notifications in Seesaw that Jillian talked about. But this last image just shows how our students are continually talking to their teacher. The teacher will give feedback and the students can reply. So this is really evident sometimes in Seesaw. So this image just shows some personalized feedback that a teacher is giving a student. And then the student, since they're in kindergarten, since they can't type, they just voice in their reply. And so just going again to show that our students are collaborators and they're able to use age-appropriate tools and devices in order to do that. So just really cool. All right. So I won't talk about all these pictures. You get to see that collaboration is a norm in NISD, whether that's collaborating on Zoom, collaborating in class, collaborating across the hall, teachers collaborating together. It's just our devices allow us to work together to solve problems and create and all the different things that we talked about. So I am going to hand this back over to Jill so that we can hear from you guys and wrap this up a bit.
Right. Okay, so I'm sure that you have noticed as listening to Brittany, how dynamic our classrooms are here in NISD. There are amazing things happening in classrooms daily, and we've given a shout out to parents, and we've given a shout out to those important team members in the technology and C&I department who have all played a really important role. And you know, you just can't give a presentation like this without looking at the pictures of what's happening in classrooms, without taking a minute to give a shout out to our teachers here in ISD. And you know, serving kids is a big why for why I do what I do, but supporting teachers is definitely a passionate place in my heart. And so I just want to take a minute to thank teachers, share another little video with you where Google does a great job celebrating teachers. And I just want to encourage you, if you haven't thanked your child's teacher yet, to please make sure that you take some time to do so. They've worked harder than ever this year, and we are extremely proud of them.
4 plus 1 is
16. How many pints of iced tea are left in the pitcher?
Times 10. So, wait.
You want to show us the continents and the no. It is not going good. My mom is getting stressed out.
Mama's tired.
I
So starting just quickly by breathing in
is, but I kind of miss school.
Teachers, I mean, y'all the gift of people.
I thank you so much for what you're doing.
Their investment into our children is beyond what we can even imagine. Appreciate all that you do.
All right. So, Miss Martin, I know you're on here, so I hope you feel the love. Thank you times affinity to you and to your team and all of our teachers here in NISD. Parents, we just want to thank you one more time for joining us tonight. We're so thankful for our partnership with you and the opportunity to get to share what is happening with the devices in our classrooms here in NISD. And we just encourage you to revisit these resources, share them with other families in our communities, and we just can't thank you enough for all that you do to continue to support devices in the world of education. We wanted to make sure that we took some time to share some resources with you. One of our absolute most favorite resources to share is Common Sense Media. If you visit the Parent Education website a couple months ago, the Director of Instructional Technology, Jason Sanders, who is on here, delivered a parent education webinar on digital citizenship. So if you didn't get to attend that session, I'm going to encourage you to make sure that you go back and check that out. He goes in really depth about Common Sense Media and the resources they provide. We have resources for Seesaw, which is our elementary learning management system. We have some information on how to be successful in one-to-one environments. So that's really kind of geared toward those middle school and secondary students who are bringing their computers home. Information on how to ramp up the filtering of your home network, some information on some SIPA requirements that we follow as a district to ensure that your kids are in safe environments on devices here at school and at home. And then just some additional information for student help desk if you are having trouble with your device at home, and then some information for the 2021 bond, because that is how the devices have been funded historically in our district. All right, we will take your questions if you have any.
You know, I would like to just say for the 45 minutes that y'all had, oh my goodness, you packed it. Thank you so much, because what a glimpse into a world for parents, myself included, that, you know, we hear our students talking about, you know, Pear Deck or something, you know, and so sometimes until you see something a little bit more, you don't quite get it. So thank you so much for giving us a glimpse into so many of the resources available. Also, I loved like the ways that you can make accommodations with the Chromebook. And I think that, so if a parent was like, ooh, I want to know more about that. So you're saying that there is the assimilator is available on y'all's website. Because I think that's huge, because even if your student doesn't have formal accommodations, sometimes we just need that passage read to us. Yeah, so can you say one more time where to find, like how to use that? And our kids taught that?
Yeah, so as parents at home, you can actually find that resource hyperlinked on this slide's presentation. You could also find it on the student help desk site. It's also located there. And then at school, your child's teacher can reach out to a campus instructional technology to gather that resource if they're not quite sure how to help a child or support a child with setting up that feature on their Chromebook, or they can also access our instructional technology website that's internal for our educators. So we have it placed in several different locations, and we'll make sure that you guys are able to locate that. Oh my gosh, wow, 10 minutes to spare. Any other questions that you have, or wonderings, or any, man, I'll take any celebrations that you have too.
I'm glad that Cynthia is recording this, because it'll be nice to know if you know parents that maybe just had a busy week and couldn't watch it, it'll be nice that they can go back and take a peek too, because, you know, there's a lot of things for parents to go to and do, and sometimes these evenings are tough. So
for sure. Yeah, so if there's no more questions, we will conclude our evening. And so, we just had someone say we need a little bit more on how to trust our kids with the device at home. Yeah.
So that, you know, that's common. The best two resources that I would point you to would definitely be engaging in the digital citizenship, the parent hub part, and having those table talk conversations, and really just finding some activities that can help you commit to some healthy boundaries on those devices, and what you guys can have that shared responsibility in working through that.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, as parents, we definitely can communicate with our kiddos that, you know, we have the right to have access to their devices. So, yeah, make that just kind of a casual but an ordinary routine thing that we're just going to check some things out. And you can even put a positive spin on it is, hey, let's spend some time looking at some of your school work. And in the meantime, you're also really maybe checking the history of what they've seen and things like that. So there's ways to check in and hold your student accountable, for sure.
I'm a pretty young mama. Like I have a 4-year-old at home, and Brittany is a young mama too. But there is a blog post that I constantly refer back to and have to sometimes remind myself to, where it talks about how when you're bringing devices in and placing them in the hands of your students at home, that it really can be a shared experience that it needs to simulate, like reading a book together at home. You know, there are times that Braylee does have some silent time to look at the pictures and read and process what's going on. But there are also other times where we're sitting there together learning about elephants and touring a zoo. And so it's a really shared and connected experience, not just hey, get on your iPad and I'm going to take care of other things.
Can I share?
Yeah,
please.
Yeah, I was going to build on exactly what Jillian just said, and Jillian and Britt pointed it out in their presentation. There's a big difference too when you're looking at what a kid is doing on a device. Are they producing something or are they consuming something? So with my daughter, when she's on her device, if she's using one of the applications where she's like free-form coloring and doing that on her own, to me, that's not really screen time in the sense that she's just sitting there absorbing. I mean, she's creating something on her own there. That's the same as if she was using a paintbrush on a canvas to me. So it really depends on what they're doing with that time, and, you know, building up that trust to see, you know, what do they like to do? What have they been doing? And just being there and being present when they're doing those things. It really makes a difference.
Good point, for sure, Jason. The other thing I'd like to put a plug in, next week on Tuesday, we have a #SocialKids webinar where we have a presenter who kind of specializes in just social media and why it matters so much to kids. And so she's going to explore that, more of the social emotional background as to why social media is so important in their lives, but then also look at the safety and how to help them navigate that. And then helping us who might have grown up in a different generation understand their perspective. And so that there's a little more common ground instead of maybe arguments in the home, and bring some peace to the conversation. So that will be next Tuesday night, same Zoom meeting number. And we look forward to maybe having some people on there joining us in May. We're wrapping things up for the year, but Jason Sanders had agreed to really dig deep into some of the apps as to the ones that kids love, and exploring that of just, you know, the good, the bad, the ugly, all that, right, Jason? Perfect. So again, thank you, parents. Thank you, Brittany. Thank you, Jillian, so much. Really appreciate that. And we'll get this up on the parenting website, which is just the district website /PE for parent education. It's super easy. So there's a link, I believe, almost on all of the campus pages too. So thank you, everybody. Good night. And we'll hope to see you back on another webinar.
Okay, thank you.